There are places where the air feels different. Places where the walls seem to remember. Where time doesn't move forward, it loops. Like a skipping record whispering the same secrets over and over again. In the heart of downtown Los Angeles, just beyond the neon glow and restless hum of the city, stands a building that has been called cursed, damned, even evil. Tall and brooding, with nearly 700 rooms and 19 stories clawing at the skies, the Cecil Hotel casts a long shadow, a shadow not made of brick and concrete, but of tragedy. For nearly a century, this place has witnessed the desperate, the damned, the wandering, and the wicked. It has offered shelter to the broken, to the forgotten, and if their stories are to be believed, to the dead. They say you can still hear them at night. A faint knock on the door when no one's there. Footsteps echoing down empty hallways. A woman crying in a room that hasn't been occupied for decades. But this isn't just a hotel. This is a monument to suffering, standing tall against the California sun, and laughing in its warmth. Tonight, we check into the Cecil Hotel, but we may not check out the same. Welcome to Echoes of the Past. This is the haunted series from the Friday Night Campfire Stories YouTube channel. My name is Rob, and I will be your guide into the shadows of yesterday, where whispers echo down hallways long after guests have gone. Last week on Far From Fiction, I covered the Elisa Lam case that had the unfortunate end right here in the Cecil Hotel. And although I don't believe her death had anything to deal with the paranormal, although some may argue that it did, we can't deny the spiritual energy that still hasn't checked out of the Cecil Hotel. So I thought it would be the perfect backdrop for this week's episode of Echoes of the Past. If you're a fan of the eerie, the unexplained, and places where the past clings like dust to every surface, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got a room waiting for you every Monday night. Tonight's journey, we will look into the Cecil Hotel's story. You'll hear true history, documented deaths, urban legends, and real-life paranormal claims that may make you sleep with the lights on tonight. But first, let's start at the beginning. When the Cecil Hotel opened its doors in 1924, it wasn't meant to be a symbol of darkness, but of elegance. Designed by architect Loy Lester Smith and funded by hotel magnate William Baker Hanner, the Cecil was a vision of modern luxury. At the cost of over $1 million, an astronomical sum at the time, it boasted a grand marble lobby, stained glass windows, intricate woodwork, and 700 rooms built to rival the finest accommodations in Los Angeles. It stood proudly on Main Street, just blocks away from thriving theaters and bustling nightlife of downtown. For a while, the Cecil basked in its own golden era. It was meant to serve businessmen, traveling families, and tourists looking for affordable glamour in the City of Angels. But Los Angeles was changing, and not for the better. The Great Depression hit just 5 years after the hotel opened. The economic crash shattered the city's sparkle, and the neighborhoods around the Cecil began to crumble. Grand avenues became alleyways of despair. What was once a bustling district evolved into what many now call Skid Row. The Cecil, once shining with ambition, slowly transformed into a flop house. Its rooms were rented out by the hour, its halls were walked by the desperate. Its reputation shifted. Its walls absorbed the cries of addiction, the abandoned, and the mentally ill. Crime rates soared, and death became routine. By the 1940s, it earned a new nickname, the Suicide Hotel. But the Cecil story doesn't end with lost dreams or a failing economy. That was only the beginning. Because once the living started leaving, something else may have taken its place. Death doesn't knock at the Cecil Hotel. It checks in. From the 1930s onward, the building earned a reputation as a black hole for misfortune, suicide, homicide, overdose. Each room has a story, each hallway a ghost. The first recorded death occurred on November 19, 1931. W.K. Norton, a 46-year-old man from Manhattan Beach, was found dead in his room after ingesting poison capsules. He had checked in under a false name. But this wouldn't be the last. In September 1932, a young maid discovered a body of Benjamin Dodich, age 25, a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, no note, no explanation. In July of 1934, Army Medical Corps Sergeant Louis D. Borden was found in his room, throat slashed with a razor. He left behind a stack of notebooks explaining his failing health. By the end of the 1930s, the hotel already witnessed multiple suicides by poison, gunshot, razor, and a growing trend, jumping from the upper floors. One of the most disturbing cases occurred in 1944. A 19-year-old woman named Dorothy Jean Purcell went into labor unexpectedly while staying at the Cecil with her older boyfriend. Unaware that she was even pregnant, she delivered the baby alone in the bathroom, and then, in a haze of panic, threw the newborn out the window. She was later found not guilty by reasons of insanity. Death continued to follow through the decades. In 1962, Pauline Otten jumped from the 9th floor window after an argument with her estranged husband. Her body struck a pedestrian, George Giannini, killing him instantly. Police initially believed it was a double suicide, until they realized the man still had his hands in his pockets and his shoes still on. But there were dozens more. A 50-year-old woman who overdosed on sleeping pills, a Navy officer found dead from a gunshot wounds, a man found hanging in the plumbing in the basement, names lost to time, faces no longer remembered, but the Cecil remembers. And then, of course, there are the names that are remembered. Serial killers, murderers, and guess who didn't die at the Cecil, but brought death with them. Some guests came to the Cecil Hotel to escape, others came to die, but a few came to hunt. In the 1980s, the hotel played host to a figure so terrifying, so brutal, that even whispers of his name are enough to darken a room. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. By day, he was a shadow slipping through the cracks of Los Angeles. By night, he was a predator, slipping through open windows, leaving behind scenes of pure horror, torture, murder, satanic ritual. And while the city held its breath, Ramirez returned, night after night, to his safe haven, the Cecil Hotel. He reportedly stayed on the 14th floor during his reign of terror in 1985. Witnesses say he would return in blood-soaked clothes, slipping through the back entrance, unnoticed or simply ignored. No one asked questions. No one dared. But he wasn't the only monster to walk these halls. In 1991, another killer checked in, this time from Austria. His name was Jack Unterweger, a journalist who claimed to be reformed after serving time for the murder of an 18-year-old girl. He was praised in Europe as a success story, even a literary star. But beneath the polished image was a man who hadn't changed at all. While staying at the Cecil, under the guise of researching crime in Los Angeles, Jack murdered at least 3 sex workers, strangling them with their own bras. His stay at the Cecil wasn't coincidence. Many believe that he deliberately chose it because of its association with Ramirez. He was arrested and eventually took his own life in prison, but the damage was already done. 2 men, 2 different eras, 1 hotel. The Cecil doesn't just attract darkness, it invites it, shelters it, and sometimes it becomes part of it. The Cecil Hotel isn't just infamous for its history of crime and tragedy, it's whispered about in darker corners for something far less tangible and far more chilling. Many believe the building itself holds on to death like a sponge. Guests have reported unexplained cold spots in the hallway, televisions turning on by themselves in the middle of the night, and disembodied whispers coming from empty rooms. Some say they've even seen a shadowy figures lurking at the end of long corridors, only to vanish when approached. Others describe a feeling of being watched from the corners when no one stands. The elevator has its own reputation. The doors open and close without prompting, lights flickering on floors that were never pressed. And of course, there's the infamous elevator footage of Elisa Lam, a disturbing moment frozen in time that still haunts the internet. Many claim the hotel is home to multiple spirits, trapped souls from suicides, overdoses, or unsolved deaths. Some guests have heard screaming in the middle of the night from rooms that were supposed to be vacant. Others report phantom phone calls, static-filled voices that say nothing or too much. The 14th floor, where Richard Ramirez allegedly stayed, is said to be especially active. Guests who have spoken of oppressive feelings there, of seeing a man in black pacing the hallways only to vanish at the stairwell. Psychics and paranormal investigators who have walked its halls describe the hotel as a spiritual hotspot, a convergence of trauma, pain, and unresolved energy. In 2015, a video surfaced online from a ghost hunting team that claimed to capture a full-body apparition standing at the end of the hallway. Another visitor shared a photo from their window showing what looked like a translucent figure peering back at them from outside the glass. Is it haunted, or are we simply projecting fear onto a place that it's steeped in? Maybe it's not about the ghost at all. Maybe it's about the imprints that are left behind. When too much suffering takes place in one space, a psychic stain will never wash out, and the Cecil has soaked in more than most. Time moves forward, but the Cecil Hotel never quite let go of the past. In 2011, in an attempt to separate itself from its long blood-stained history, part of the hotel was rebranded as Stay on Main, a budget-friendly hostel-style experience marketed to young travelers. Separate lobby, different entrances, new paint, but the same building. It didn't work. The stigma followed. Ghost hunters, urban explorers, and true crime enthusiasts continued to flock the site. They weren't looking for clean beds and Wi-Fi. They were looking for darkness beneath the surface. And then in 2013, the death of Elisa Lam. Her mysterious disturbance and the now infamous elevator footage propelled the Cecil Hotel back into global headlines and cemented it as something more than just a building with a bad reputation. It became a myth, a modern urban legend. After that, the hotel shut its doors in 2017 for renovation. For years, it stood silent. The windows were like blank eyes watching over Skid Row, and the lobby collecting dust and rumors. But in 2021, it reopened again, this time with a new mission: to provide long-term, low-income housing as part of a supportive housing project, a noble cause surrounded by haunted walls. Today, parts of the building remain active, not as a hotel, but as a residence. People live here, among the shadows, among the memories, among the stories that never fully rest. There are no more tourists checking into the hotel, no more travelers asking for room keys, but the past never checked out. The Cecil Hotel is more than a building. It's a wound that never fully healed, a scar carved into the heart of downtown Los Angeles. It has seen the broken, the desperate, the violent, and the forgotten. Some who came here were running from demons. Others brought demons with them. And others never left at all. What makes the Cecil so infamous isn't just deaths. It's the weight of so many, one after another, layered on top of each other until the air itself feels heavy. Grief, madness, malice. It lingers in the walls like mold. But not every spirit is merely trapped. Some things might have chosen to stay. Darkness doesn't always drift. Sometimes it anchors. And in places like this, it grows roots. The Cecil Hotel stands as a monument, not just to tragedy, but to the unexplained. A place where the lines between the living and the dead is thin and fraying. If you ever find yourself staying outside its doors, take a moment, listen closely. You might hear the whispers behind the glass, or the ding of an elevator moving without a passenger. And if you do, don't follow it inside. You have been watching Echoes of the Past right here on the Friday Night Campfire Stories YouTube channel. If this episode haunted your thoughts, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn the bell on so you never miss the next chapter of the strange and the forgotten. I make 3 full-length videos every single week. Every Monday, Echoes of the Past, just like what you watched here. Every Wednesday is Far From Fiction, which is my true crime series. And every Friday, the namesake of the channel, the Friday Night Campfire Stories, where I share a chapter from one of my original stories with you each and every Friday. Currently, we are reading through my sci-fi thriller story, Astral, and this next episode is one you are not going to want to miss. So be sure to get caught up by watching the Astral playlist on my channel and get ready for the next episode this Friday night. Until next time, sleep with the lights on. And always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.